Hey everybody, it's Mr. Canfield. We're going to go through and do the 4-3 homework, solving the systems using elimination. I can't believe I wrote solving the systems. What? I should have written solving systems. Oh well. We're going to use elimination, or elimination, as they may have accidentally said it in your class. So, remember, the idea of elimination is that we can take two equations and we can actually add them together. And I'm going to use my calculator to do these because I want to show you how we can use our calculator, and we don't need to rely on our brains for these if we're making silly mistakes. So like if you take negative 10 plus 9 and you get 1, or you get negative 90, or you get something that isn't negative 1, you might need to use your calculator to make sure that you're doing these correctly. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to say, negative 10 plus 9, and I got negative 1. And so when I do that, I get negative 1x. And here I have negative 10 and positive 10. So if I do that, I get negative 10y plus 10, and sure enough, they equal 0. They cancel out. And then here we have 10 and negative 2, and so if I say 10 plus negative 2, we get 8. So we're going to say negative 1x is equal to 8. And so there's a lot of ways that we can solve this and think about it. The one way that people will do is they'll try to figure out what number negative 1 times that number gets us positive 8. And if you can't do that mentally, all you have to do is remember that negative 1 is being multiplied by x. It says negative 1 times x. So if I do negative 1 times x, I get 8. So if we're not sure what x is supposed to be, well, we can undo that times by using divide. And when we do that, negative 1 divided by negative 1, they cancel out because they equal 1. They cancel out to get 1, and so it's gone. And we can say x is equal to negative 8. 8 divided by negative 1. We get negative 8. So, and that's it. And we're done the problem. Just kidding. So remember that since we're doing elimination, we're solving a system. Remember that systems have x and they have y. So I know now that x is negative 8. And remember that x is the first coordinate here, and y is the second one. I don't know y yet, but I can go back to one of these first two equations. Either one of them. It doesn't matter which one. And I can plug in negative 8 for x. So if I do that, I'm going to say negative 10 times negative 8 minus 10y equals 10. And you might see, ooh, that's a big mess, but we can go through and we can solve this now. Negative 10 times negative 8, that gets us 80. So it says 80 minus 10y is equal to 10. So remember, our goal now is to figure out what y is supposed to be to make this a true statement. You don't need to do any of that in your head, though. You don't need to figure it out. We can use solving techniques. So solving techniques says we want to get everything away from y. That includes the 80 and the 10. We get the stuff that's not touching the y first. We get rid of that first. So I'm going to get rid of this 80 first. And don't look at the sign after the 80. Look at the sign before the 80. It's a plus. It's a positive 80. So if it's not there, it's a positive. So we're going to subtract both sides by 80. Those cancel. We get negative 10y is equal to 10 minus 80. We get negative 70. And now I have negative 10y is equal to negative 70. So just like in the last problem where we divided both sides by that number, we're going to divide both sides by this number. Oops, I shouldn't have written a y there. I should have just said that. So we get y is equal to negative 70 divided by negative 10. Negative 70 divided by negative 10. And that gets us a 7. And so y is equal to 7. And so that means that our answer here is negative 8, 7. There's my solution. And remember, this is the one point where these two lines actually touch each other. So hopefully, yay, we're happy, woo! My mom gave me this pen, Amera Health. I don't remember what this is about. think it's like her insurance company or something. So in the second one, we can just add them together. It's the same kind of thing. I'm going to try to keep this video a little bit short, so I'm going to skip some problems. Let's move down and look at number 4. If we look at number 4, it says negative 8x plus 5y equals 14, and negative 5x plus 5y equals negative 10. The problem here is that if I add these together, negative 8 plus negative 5 does not cancel, and 5 plus 5 also does not cancel. So instead of adding, we could also subtract. We could do negative 8 minus negative 5 and 5 minus 5. Now that's the benefit there, 5 minus 5, right? Because 5 minus 5 is 0. But with these ones, be careful, because negative 8 minus negative 5. Notice how I did negative 8 and then minus negative 5. Super, super important. I got negative 3. So it's negative 3x. And here, 14 minus negative 10. It's not 4. It's 24. Remember that when we subtract a negative, it's the same as adding. It's the same as doing 14 plus regular 10. So now I have negative 3x is equal to 24, and I'm going to take 24 divided by negative 3 to get negative 8. Because we're going to divide it by negative 3, and we're going to get x is equal to negative 8. So I promise I did not plan this. It's the same as the first problem. If we get 7 again, I'm going to be scared. It's the Illuminati. Oh, I'm demonetized now. Okay, so let's see, negative 8x plus 5y equals 14. You might notice that I'm just plugging it into the first equation every time. You might want to do that. Just always plug it into the first equation. It'll always work. So I'll plug the negative 8 in. I get negative 8 times negative 8 plus 5y is equal to 14. Let's see, negative 8 times negative 8. I got positive 64 plus 5y is equal to 14. And again, we're going to have to get the y by itself. So we're going to need to move the 64 first. We'll subtract it. So I got 14 minus 64, and I got negative 50. And now I got 5y equals negative 50, so we'll divide both sides by 5. So divided by 5. And I got negative 10. Notice how I didn't actually have to type in negative 50 again. The computer already had it, or the calculator already had it in its brain. So when I hit divided, it just says answer. Take the answer we just got and divide that by 5. So I got y is negative 10. Good. It's not the exact same answer. So I like to write my answers up here. I don't know why. You could write it down here. Okay. We're going to do the last 2. We're going to do number 8 first. I'm doing this in a weird order, I know. Just bear with me, stick with me. So in number 8, we've got a 3, an 8, a 10, and a 4. Adding, none of those cancel. Subtracting, none of those cancel. Here we have to use a special technique. And the special technique is we take, I'm going to write it nice and big so you all can see. We got our 3x plus 10y. I wouldn't write this on your own paper. I'm just trying to show you nice and big. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to take the 3 and the 8, and I'm going to multiply the negative 8 by the top, by each term in the top. And I'm going to take the 3 and multiply it by each term in the bottom. So you switched them basically, or multiply them by each other. So when we do that, you can use your calculator for all these. You do negative 8 times 3, and I got negative 24. You do negative 8 times 10, and you get negative 80. Oop, forgot the x there. You do negative 8 times negative 8, and you get positive 64. So this first equation turned into that one. Now this equation, 3 times negative 8 gets us negative 24. And then this one, negative 3 times 4, or sorry, 3 times negative 4, isn't it? So that'd be negative 12. And then 3 times negative 24, and what is that, 72? Negative 72. I did that in my head by doing 3 times 2, or really 3 times 20 is 60. And then 3 times 4 is 12. So 60 and 12 together gets me 72. And then I just looked at the negatives and saw there was only one negative, so I knew it was negative. Okay. So now that we're here, shoot, they're the same sign, so if I add them together, they won't cancel. But if I subtract them, they'll cancel. So subtract them, they'll cancel. Now I just got to be careful here and do negative 80 minus negative 12. As long as I'm careful, okay, I got negative 68, and you might be like, that's a crazy number. Here we got 64 minus negative 72. Another crazy number, 136. But a lot of times, when we divide both sides by negative 68, when we do this last step, it winds up working out pretty nice. I got y is negative 2. This trick that we did at the beginning works for every single one of these ever. Even something where the two x's cancel out in the beginning, you could do it. Like if you don't see it and you just always want to multiply the first by the second and the second by the first. So like here, I multiply since the first number is a 2, I can multiply the whole bottom by 2's. So I'll do 2, 2, 2. I'll get 6x minus 18y is equal to 60. Here we'll do 3, 3, 3, because that was a 3 there. I'll get 6x minus 24y is equal to 90. It always works, every time. Some people like to make one of them negative, and if you, like either the 3 or the 2, they'll make one of them negative, and that lets you then, if you change the sign on one of them as you do it, it lets you, instead of having to subtract, you get to add. But here, I'm just going to subtract them, right? 6 minus 6, they cancel. Negative 24 minus negative 18, I get negative 6. I'm not going to lie, I would prefer to do that on my calculator than in my head. Once I get to negatives, I don't like to mess around. I don't want to make any silly mistakes. And then I do 90 minus 60, and I get 30. So divide both sides by negative 6. I get y is equal to negative 5. Ooh, I didn't finish either of these questions because I got part of my answer. I got the y value is negative 5, and in this one I got the y value is negative 2, but I'm not actually done the question. So I need to go back to my original question and plug stuff in. So I got 2x minus 8y is equal to 30. And I show this for my students because I want to be clear. You don't need to actually write that step. You can just plug in the negative 5. No, it's y, it's not x. So I'm going to leave that x. So we had to be careful there. And we get 2x plus 40 is equal to 30. So now I'll subtract the 10 from both sides. And I'm rushing a little bit right now because I love that I made a mistake right as I said I'm rushing right now. That was not planned. This is for real. So I'm subtracting 40 from both sides, and 30 minus 40 is negative 10. My brain was seeing what the answer was going to be, and it wrote the answer instead of what I was actually doing. I make mistakes like that all the time if I'm not careful. So we divide both sides by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Slap the negative on it. X is negative 5. Oh, so my answer for this was negative 5, negative 5. So then I'm going to finish this last one up here. 3x plus 10y equals negative 8. So y was negative 2. So 3x plus 10 times negative 2 is equal to negative 8. So 3x minus 20 is equal to negative 8. We'll add the 20 to both sides. We'll get 3x is equal to negative 8 plus 20 is 12 divided by 3 divided by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So I know I kind of rushed through those last steps. Feel free to pause the video, go back, play it slower, anything. Feel free to ask me questions as well. So I know I did half the worksheet, but hopefully this helps, and hopefully the happy little pen here brightened your day. And I'll see you soon. Bye.